Hello again, this is Misha from Natural Medicine Mamas, and today's August 7th, 2017, so I am doing a late summer, mid to late summer follow-up on the herb walk. So now I'm back here in my little perennial garden, and we're looking at the Echinacea. So it's doing pretty well. It's got some nice pretty blooms on it. There's one here. These are not quite ready to bloom. And just as for those of you who like to grow your stuff, it's the root of this plant that you use. And this fall I'll probably harvest this one, because if you look closely you can see that there are several plants there. There's morning glory growing on there too, but there's several plants in there, so that's going to be a better root to harvest so that I can still have some to put back. I might use this one too, but definitely going to leave this one because there's only one. So that way it'll be stronger for next year. Here is the parsley. It's looking really good. Here's the Lovage. It has gone to seed, and I've just left it. I don't really have a use for it this year. I probably could have just cut it back, but I just let it grow. I planted some scarlet winter beans because I love their beautiful red flowers, but in between I planted some calendula. So that's calendula, great for skin stuff. It's been a little slow and behind this year, but it'll flower well into September and past a first freeze, so I should be able to still get blooms. I don't have a ton of them, so I'll definitely be wanting to infuse any blooms that I do get from this. Here is the horehound. This isn't one that I use a ton of. I don't know if I've mentioned before in other videos, but some plants I don't use a ton of, but I still like to have them in my garden so that I have them available to me if I did have a need for them. Here's some plantain. That was in the video from the spring, so it's going to seed here. And here's the leaf. Plantain also good for skin things, for wounds. You can be added even to stomach recipes, blends, because it's a demulcent, so it's soothing. And then we've got a whole bunch of chamomile. My chamomile kind of went crazy this year. So chamomile and lemon balm are part of my reason why I have the feelings that I do about essential oils. And if you watch the part 2 of the spring walk, I talk more about that. So just to show you a couple differences here in what I'm looking at. So obviously this little flower is just in flower. This one is finishing flowering. This one is about to go to seed, and this one is now in seed. I can see that. Okay, there we go. If you watch when I do, so I can get focused here, if I break it off, there's all those little chamomile seeds in there. So I'll throw them in the lawn. Okay. Here's the Elecampane. Again, I've let it go to bloom because it's the roots that I want to use. So I'll do that this fall. This mullein plant did pretty well. This spike has gotten really tall. I've been pulling the blossoms off of it every few days. It's getting some more blossoms on it. So I also wanted to point out something for seed saving, for if you're wanting to propagate the plant. So this is really tall. I'm like 5'5", and this one, so this is probably a 6 foot tall. Actually, it's probably almost 6.5 feet tall, that one. And right next to it is a smaller mullein plant. So if I was needing to save seeds from these plants to be able to propagate, I would definitely save seeds from this plant rather than this one, because this one has really nice leaves on it. This flower spike got nice and tall. And this one, even though they're right next to each other, which is always interesting to me, didn't do as well. Pale yellow leaves, shorter spike. So I'm coming down to this end, and down in here is the arnica. There's some arnica there, and it has all gone to seed, so I'm just letting it be. So it'll come back next year. Here's the yarrow. I have cut it back a couple of times to dry it. And there's still some fresh flowers on it. And these are getting ready to go to seed now too. So I could save, this one's about ready to be pulled off for seeds. So I could, oh actually, this one's even better. So this one's starting to lose its seeds to be able to save for next year. And there's a close-up of what the leaf looks like. So in the mountains, this is what you'd look for. I also wanted to show you the comfrey. So if you watched the previous video, you know that I cut this back and it has regrown itself quickly. Alright, there's a little clary sage. It was, I think from the spring video, I remember I tried to move it because it is a stinky plant. It is not my favorite plant to have up close here, so I tried to move it back, and obviously this one is still left, so I'll probably dig this one up and move it to the back of my garden too. Here's some fennel. This one has gone to flower. The seeds of fennel are really useful, so I'll let it go to seed and collect as many as I can. Here's another fennel plant. Here's some more Echinacea. And here's some Yarrow that's volunteered in here as well. My sister calls my garden a potager garden. That's just a nice way of saying that it's kind of a big mess. But it's kind of fun. Things just grow and volunteer here a lot. So I've got more fennel here, but this is carrot. And there's some more fennel and carrot right next to it. Some of this carrot is really close to being ready. This one's about done flowering, almost ready to go to seed. So up here, so here's my lavender, and I'm wanting it to go to seed too so it can spread. I tried planting some of its seeds. Looks like I might have a few little lavenders here, so I'll leave them alone. My licorice also did really well. I wasn't sure if it survived, but this is licorice. And there's some licorice, and there's some licorice way over here. So I'm definitely going to be able to dig that up and use it. Also right here is some bone set. And bone set is really, really good. A great antimicrobial, has antimicrobial properties, and is really helpful for lowering fevers. So, and it's best to use when it's coming into flower, early flowering stage. And if you look closely at this, it is not quite flowering. It's almost ready. So this one right here is almost open for flowering. So I'm going to wait probably another day or two, and I'll come back and check it. And as soon as those flower buds open, I'm going to cut it to about here, probably about there, so I can get these others and get it about the same height. And then I'll hang it to dry it. Or if I'm out of alcohol for tincturing it now, but if I get some before then I'll chop it up and put it straight into the alcohol tincture. A whole bunch of raspberry in here, more chamomile. My garlic's over here. It needs to be dug up pretty soon. There's some onion going to seed. My neighborhood is noisy today, I'm sorry. And just one other thing I wanted to show you was the raspberry. So it's pretty much done fruiting, but I've still got my younger first year canes. And like I talked about in a previous video, it's the first year canes that I'm going to save the leaves from. Now's a perfect time to do it, but because it's getting to the end of summer and it is kind of a time-consuming project, I'm going to wait until school starts in a couple weeks, just so that I can come out here and just sit out here and harvest my raspberry leaves and not worry about kids needing something. Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute. Okay, so this is the last of the video. I'm just come out to my front yard. This is where my lemon balm is because it's a nice shady protected spot. So I haven't cut my lemon balm back at all this year yet. It's just been kind of a crazy summer. I've got some of these younger ones I could use if I wanted. So this has gone to flower, and although I could use it, it's going to be weaker medicinally because when with this particular plant, lemon balm, it's the leaf that's used that has the medicinal properties. So when it goes to flower, that means that most of its energy is going into the flower. So it's not going to be as strong medicinally. I still have enough time before a freeze that I could cut it back. In fact, I really should come out today and do that, because there are these shorter little pieces on some of them that haven't gone to flower that I could use. So lemon balm's another plant and another reason why I have the opinion about essential oils that I do. This really, look how big this plant is. This is one plant that's produced a whole bunch of leaves really happy to produce and give, but you still need tons and tons and tons of plant material just to make a little bit of oil. Or I could cut these leaves and dry them and infuse them in oil if I was wanting to use it for topical things. And then if I wanted it stronger, I could infuse it again and again and again. I could infuse it several times. I would get very similar medicinal properties out of that. Infusion does pull out some of the essential oil as well. And I also could tincture it, and I could tincture it 2 or 3 times too to make it a stronger mix. Instead of using tons and tons of plant material just for one little bit of essential oil that is so expensive that very few people can afford it. It's an easy plant to grow. It's happy to produce for you and give to you, so I would just rather use the plant that way. And chamomile is similar. You have to have lots and lots of chamomile flowers to get just a little bit of oil, which is expensive and not everybody can afford it. But I can infuse that oil, or I'm sorry, those flowers in oil or in alcohol to get a similar benefit. So there you have it. I'm going to finish my video for now. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.